Professor, thank you for taking the time to make this interview with us. So to start, can you talking us about a little bit what you used to do when you worked in international business?
Okay, so during 2005 all the way to 2010, most likely, I worked for Maersk, which is a Danish-based company. I worked for the logistics area. I was in charge of the retail accounts. And overall, we were handling all the bills for the transportation, for maritime logistics and some air logistics, but mainly was maritime.
Right. Okay, so we have prepared some questions for you. So I hope you can answer all of them.
I hope so too.
The first one is, what is negotiation for you?
Well, dealing with other people means that we have to get the interest of both, you know. So negotiation for sure is a way to get the most that we want. Somehow, along the history, we have been looking to obtain the best results for us. But the best results for us are not always the best results for the counterpart. So negotiation, as I interpret it, is just to make the best profit or the best benefit for me and for the other side. So it's an interchange of information, of culture, of faces, and different other values and variables that make this issue very rich.
So we can define like a negotiation, maybe like make the less benefit for the other part, or just to try to make.
Well, that would be the result. The negotiation is on the process. Okay. It's on the process that you go through from the beginning when you decide what you want to get at the end of this process. So the whole negotiation goes along, and then at the end we have this. Of course, the optimum is to obtain the best for you and hopefully also the best for the counterpart. But the negotiation is a process. So it's a process that starts at some point where you get to know who you are talking with, when you understand who you are talking with, and then where most likely you have to find which are the real objectives that your counterpart has.
Okay, I got it. So you mentioned that you should know who are you dealing with.
Yeah, definitely.
So in your experience, how do the companies choose the negotiator you will deal with?
I think it's throughout experience.
Okay.
You know, there are most people that are really focused on social networks or social relations, and there are much more people that are just operative people, and there are also strategy people. So it depends on what you want to negotiate. I mean, if you want to express prices, it's different from negotiating time. From my experience, I did not negotiate a lot of prices, but I have to negotiate a lot of time, shipping windows, and even the way we have to manage the cargo, which was complicated because the price was already set. So I was not dealing with money, but I was dealing with profit directly. So my decisions made much more profit or much less profit for my company.
Okay, so we are talking about you taking one of the last steps of negotiation.
Well, there were two negotiations, let's say. There was a part that negotiated the price, the selling price and the buying price, and also there was another part which negotiated time, details, the way to manage information, the way the information should be presented to the client.
Okay, perfect. So if you have to describe a perfect negotiator, which characteristics this person should have?
I think it depends on what you want to negotiate. I mean,
okay.
So if you are going to negotiate money or you are going to negotiate revenues, then you have to find someone who is able to go for that, for the number. But if you're going to negotiate a relation, a long-term relation, maybe then money is not that important, but the long-term relation, and then the way you negotiate will change.
Okay, so is there possible that one person can do all of this? Or you should make like a team, as you said?
I will go for a team. And maybe if you have a really good salesperson and a really good operator, and they know how to work together, which is not easy because their objectives are completely different.
Okay, perfect. So in this whole process we are living, negotiation, how can you describe the protocol? I mean, the protocol that should be followed in the negotiation.
First of all, we have to maintain our objective clear because we can get lost in these ways of communication. After all, we have to find that the goal has been always respect during the whole negotiation. That we get what we want. If we get something extra, that's good. But still, we have to accomplish our goal because sometimes the problem with the negotiator is that they get lost and they get a lot around, but not what they wanted to get. So that's not really productive. More than a protocol, I think that we have to think in several issues. First of all, we have to know who are we talking with. Second, in which culture are we talking with? Because regarding international business, it's not the same to deal with Chinese people than with American people. You have to know how to approach them, how to deal with them, how to manage the relation with it. And negotiating with Latin Americans is completely different than negotiating with Europeans. So we have to know where we're standing. And finally, we have also to look for the objectives of our company. What is our company looking for and what the company allows us to do and what the company says this is not the way we work.
Okay, perfect. So, can you tell us an experience related with the value of the time while doing business? I mean, you were talking about different cultures, and we know that different cultures have different time values. So,
yeah. Well, if you talk about timing in regard of meetings, well, if we go to Europe or North America, you have to be really punctual and really respectful with the time. If we talk about Latin America, sometimes we can have a much more social gathering while negotiating. But if you talk about the time of the process of negotiation, then everything changes. Because anyway, even if the company stands in China, in the US, or in Mexico, we have deadlines. And those deadlines must be accomplished. So it depends a lot on how you manage the negotiation. You cannot be too aggressive, but you cannot be too soft. And you have to adapt this process to the culture you are dealing with. And that's something that experience will let you know. There is no way I can say right now that you can be fully prepared. Maybe you can read a lot about the culture, maybe you can understand much more because you have lived there. For example, if you go to Canada, maybe you know much more about Canada than I do, but still, you have to adapt to your client and to your company. So it's an issue of experience, but also of preparation.
okay, so in the same line, we're talking about trust. We know like Latin American trust more than the American. Or what can you say about the trust in different cultures?
Much more than trust, I would say that the first world are willing always to have really clear information. And there is one secret word that is no. And in Latin America, that word means a lot. And it can have a lot of meanings, but it's most likely not pronounced, you know? For Latin American culture, it's very hard to say no. We, in our culture, try to give an explanation just before saying no. But still, we use yes. In the other hand, when you talk about Europe or North America, you can easily get a no from your client. So trust is based on the information you give. And trust is also gained throughout the process. And if your counterpart knows that you're having crystal clear with them and you let them know that what is your objective, most likely it's going to be an easier negotiation. But we have to take into consideration the characteristics of the culture. Trust is a really deep word, and when we talk about negotiation and business, we have to always maintain into account that the companies need to produce money and they want more profits. So trust will be one of the most difficult words when our objective is to get or to gain them more.
Okay, perfect. So about the deal in general, how do you know that you got a satisfactory deal?
Well, I told you before, I think that if you maintain your objective clear and you get your objectives, it is going to be satisfactory. Now, if you get your objectives a little bit more, it might be good as well. Or sometimes even a little bit less, but there should be a measure of what you want. So if you get what you want, if you are able to really get what you're looking for, then you are to have a satisfactory negotiation.
So you got your goal, but even if you sacrifice something in exchange, can you say that you make a satisfactory?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It depends what you sacrifice.
Okay.
I mean, let's say an example, if I had to sacrifice 100 pens, and I don't care about pens, and I have 1,000 in my office, then I don't care if I have to give up those 100 pens. The most important thing is, why is your objective important? And it depends also with the type of deal you are doing. When I was working for this company, it was not the same to negotiate for 20 containers than for 2,000 containers. So you have to value your contracts and say, well, for this one, I'm able to lose or to sacrifice this kind amount of money or amount of time, and for this one, it's a different whole venture. Or the two contracts will be equally important for me, but it's a company decision. So the company will also stand for you, and they will tell you what you can lose and what you have to remain.
Perfect. So now about your experience in the firm, which one has been the most difficult deal to close?
The most difficult deal to close, as I told you before, I'm not an expert in negotiating prices, but in negotiating process. So I think that the most difficult deals we have to handle were when we had containers coming from Bangladesh. Bangladesh has a lot of rules in order for exports to go abroad. And one of those rules is to have a certificate of origin that is sealed and signed by the ministry. So that can take in between 2 days to 3 weeks. And we didn't have the time for that. So we have to look forward for a way to expedite. And I was not able to say, oh, trust me, because I'm very important, or I'm a very trusted person. So I have to convince people on the other side of the world, which I didn't even know, to trust us. And that was really hard. It was really hard because we need to have everything settled, and I could not afford a mistake. They have to see that every single step was well done, so in order to build this trust. And I think that Bangladesh was quite a huge challenge.
And can we know which product?
Yeah, it was garments.
What?
Garments.
Okay.
So it was not even a dangerous cargo, it was just garments, but we need those documents in order for the container. So the container is maybe ready to leave, but we need the paper from the ministry, and that was the tough part.
Okay, so is there any deal that you couldn't make it?
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure. I don't remember right now how many, but in many occasions, maybe the consignor will say, "Well, don't even make the effort to bring the product. I don't want it anymore." If the shipping window was expired, so I have to make sure that didn't happen commonly. But yes, of course, I'm sure I'd lose more than one.
Okay, perfect. So, have you now talking more about the topic? Have you ever made a deal with Danish people?
Yeah,
I know
of
that
course.
Merckx is a Danish company, but
Yeah, we have to deal with Danish people every single day because Merckx is a Danish-based company. The Danish people, they were really transparent with us. They tell us in 3 lines what they expect from us and what they want from us. Every single email, every single interchange of communication was really in English because Merckx is a really open, wide company. So whoever is superior to you, they can read your email account and everything because those are like your group accounts. And I think that for me it was great. It was great because they really knew what they want from us. They were not going through, I don't know, confused lines or something that is not good.
like tiny letters.
No, not tiny letters. Everything was said. The only thing that is hard at the beginning, at least for Latin American culture or for me, was that they were too straightforward.
Okay.
So this is really good for this or really bad for that, but still it was really, really straightforward.
So you can say that is the most difficult part of making deal with Danish people.
I like it. I really like it. I enjoy it. I like to be direct with that, and it was my company, so I was part of the winners. I feel I was part of that team too. So I had to follow, and it was good.
So now to finish this interview, what advices can you give us about how to make negotiation with other cultures, other countries?
Be prepared. Read a lot, and travel. Know people. Get to know them. Try to understand that they belong from another culture, because most of my colleagues had at some point asked what was the difference, and maybe we were the difference. So it's about understanding what we are doing and what are the objectives, and overall not to be too passionate. We have to understand that deals are very different in Mexico, in Denmark, or in the United States or Canada. We have to understand that every single culture has different characteristics, and those characteristics are the ones that deal or that make that a company or a country works. So we have to understand that, and we cannot set our culture to be best or worse. It's simply to understand that the geographical area where you are dealing with things are different and they have different perspectives.
So I can say something you said before about no. I mean, so can you say that an advice for the new negotiators that are coming, like be prepared for a no?
Yeah, that would be good to be prepared for a no, and to understand that it's not a personal negotiation. It's a business negotiation that is part of our job, that is part of what we have to do. Of course, there is also our personal success when we have a good work done, but still we have to be really focusing in that every negotiation was not personal. Every negotiation I did at that point was because of the objectives of the company, and I have to be really pegged to the company values and to the company rules so that this works good.
Okay, so I think that's all. Thank you so much for your time. I hope to see you again soon, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much.